So this is making hybrid work work. This is a prime example of what we have to deal with every time. So let's try this again from the top. Okay, let's take this back.
So, you want to be successful, huh? Well, let's go over the ground rules. You need to come in early. Work through lunch.
Yeah, that's a really good one.
Burn the midnight oil. That's not what I meant. And keep your eyes on the market. Different market. Master the cold call.
That sounds perfect.
You can't be serious. And 2 words. Firm handshake. Firmer. Ensure you get plenty of face time with the boss. And dare I say, brown nose from time to time. This dog gets it. So come on, defy the pecking order.
Here, try one.
Sell your own grandmother. This is not an office. Is anyone listening? Bend over backwards. Give in to the daily grind. What's happening? And always, always dress for the job you want. I give up.
I love that. It's part of a whole new Work Happy campaign. That could almost be a Super Bowl ad for us. But you know, but I think it illustrates really well what today's hybrid work looks like. In fact, if you could see me today, I've got a polo shirt on, but underneath I'm wearing shorts. So I mean, I know a lot of us work that way in this hybrid world. So as we go through the slide deck here, if you've got any questions, feel free to chime in and throw them into chat, and we can talk. I hate doing a monologue for 45 minutes, but so if you do have questions, feel free to chime in. But when I see this slide, my mind immediately takes me to Braveheart when William Wallace, you know, Mel Gibson is on the chopping block and with his last breath he yells "freedom," and you know, I think about that and what it's got to do with what we're going to talk about today, and it's absolutely nothing, but it's what I thought of, so I digress a little bit. But as that video illustrated, hybrid work can be anywhere, and it can be any place that allows you and people to be flexible and perform at their very best. And whether that's working from home or working from the beach or on the ski lift or the hotel or even grandma's house, you know, I think one of the things that we found out that as a result of this pandemic, hybrid work is not a place you go to, not like an office. Hybrid work is really all about the place you want to be and where you want to work and how you want to work. And with that, making hybrid work comes with new expectations from employees and new challenges for businesses. So on one hand, the majority of employees are excited about hybrid work. In fact, I think within HP, I think you'd find it about a 50-50 split, but I'm one of those that have really embraced it. But at the same time, in the hybrid world, many people feel very uncertain and disconnected, which can be really deflating. And, you know, have you ever thought to yourself, you know, I want my idea to be heard, but they keep talking over me? Or how many times have you asked during a virtual meeting like I did today, can you hear me okay? Or can you see my screen? And then there's the occasional audio and video problem, which again, we had today. Welcome to hybrid work. And it can be a very stressful experience for people. One of the negatives of hybrid work is that people miss the buzz of the office and being able to connect and collaborate live with coworkers. It's real hard for you know, say someone like me, or when you guys are doing your own virtual presentations, when you're speaking to a camera and you can't see your audience and you can't read their body language, and is something resonating, or is everybody just working on email and they've got the thing running in the background? It's probably a little of everything there, but people do miss the buzz of the office and being able to connect and collaborate live. They miss the feeling of belonging, which is why we're seeing so many people back in the office, you know, if it's only just for 1 or 2 days a week. And many are torn between the freedom of working from anywhere and really that loneliness or uncertainty about being disconnected from their co-workers. But really the bottom line is they still have a job to do. and it's our job to help them do it better. So this uncertainty and disconnectedness has resulted in the loud have gotten louder and the quiet have gotten quieter. And perhaps you're one of those people. And we found this to be true. Mainly, I really can't explain why. I do know the quiet have gotten quieter because, you know, in some calls it can be really distracting when people are talking over each other and you don't feel like you can get a word in edgewise. Why people are being louder, I think they just want to really try to drive their point. But I'm sure we've all been in meetings where we've seen this. So the last couple of years have turned out to be very transformative for HP. And prior to the pandemic, if you recall, all of the talk was about the office of the future. You know, I think we started talking about the office of the future in about 2015, and we kept going at it until the pandemic started. And, you know, it was all about open office environments and touchdown cubes and things like that. But no one really could have imagined that the office of the future was about to be flipped upside down. But you know, in our case, when you're given lemons, what do? You make lemonade. And so from a technology perspective, we went from COVID to hybrid to this bloom of creativity and growth. I like that flowery language, bloom of creativity and growth. Anyway, but if you check out some of the insights here, and I know this is kind of an eye chart, but 68% of executive teams are reevaluating company culture for hybrid work. 51% of US workers are feeling less connected to their company culture while working from home. And 87% say the office is important for collaborating and building relationships. But then you also have people on that are saying that they need better technology. 80% believe that a larger display at home would make them more productive, or that their video or audio is inadequate. And, you know, ultimately, you know, how we present ourselves on video, how we sound on audio is really important. And it can actually be career limiting if we come across as not being as professional or having the technology that puts us in the best possible light. So, and these are just a few of those hundreds of insights we've collected from end users. We've also talked to the people that support them, so the IT staffs, and all the way up to the top of the organization. I think I read that we did a 9-country research project. So we literally surveyed thousands of people to get a lot of these insights. And that's what's been driving the HP strategy for the last couple of years. I think, you know, one of the areas things that I like is when we get quotes from customers, and a couple of these stand out to me. The Airbnb quote is interesting. I lead culture and engagement, but I can't make eye contact. I find myself staring at the camera to accommodate others. It's kind of like what I was saying before. Nike, I desperately miss my teammates, losing the chit chat throughout the day, bumping into people. You really lose a lot of positive energy. Agreed. And then at Moss Adams, there's a real lack of accidental learning, especially when we're training new staff. The virtual learning is taking way longer. And you think about it, there's employees that we have working with us that, you know, they've never met their manager, they've never met their coworkers because of the pandemic. So it had the challenges are that certainly the hybrid challenges are not the same. And we don't want to compromise any of our flexibility, and we demand to be able to show up on our own terms. And what we're seeing again from the research is in 2023, nearly half of HP surveyed workers will have at least some flexibility in where they get to work. So that's a good thing. 75% believe that video quality is important to doing their job, and 62% of the time people are using their laptop battery at home. So what that tells me is that, you know, either people don't have the luxury of having a home office and where they can be plugged in all the time, or, you know, they just need a change of pace and they want to move around. The bottom line is that battery life is still very important, especially in a mobile platform. But you know, when you look at hybrid challenges, and the things that we have to deal with at home. Say if your if your Wi-Fi is not up to speed, or you keep having dropouts, or you have poor signal, or again, your technology, you have a low resolution camera, or your audio just doesn't work well. Those are some of the challenges that are a little bit different than what you would get from as a remote worker. But the hybrid challenges aren't limited to just technology. If you look at new hires and early career employees, they're having really the hardest time adjusting to hybrid work next to salespeople. Most of these people were onboarded using email and Zoom, and many have never even met their managers or coworkers in person. And again, as you'd expect, salespeople, I think they're at 35% there. It's kind of small. They're having a particularly tough time because they did a complete 180. They went from in-person meetings to 100% virtual. Although that's been changing over the last few months. I've actually myself been able to go visit a few customers here in the past couple months. It's not like the 70% of travel I was doing before, but just the fact that I get to go out and shake somebody's hand and see somebody in person it just puts you in a great mood. So I'm looking forward to getting back on the road. But for the past decade or so, it sometimes felt like companies have been in this perks arms race to attract and retain talent. So that would include things like free snacks or ping pong tables in the break room or in-house gyms. And it seems like the more fun the space and the better the freebies, as they were thinking, the more likely people would want to dedicate their working hours to the organization. But what we find today is that from a hiring and retainment perspective, rather than gimmicky perks, people are now looking for workplaces that are going to accommodate their hybrid work style. They're changing and individualized needs. So what is HP doing to make hybrid work? HP is adopting this couture process from the fashion industry, and what that does is it allows for custom solutions that fit the anywhere work model. So couture really looks at what's trying to anticipate what the future is going to hold, taking chances, not waiting for things to happen. And so what we're doing is we're doing things like experimenting with new technologies such as 3D printing, and we're using sustainable materials. That's been a real big deal, and we'll talk about that more in a little bit. But this has attracted new audiences that otherwise wouldn't have been interested in HP or even couture fashion for that matter. So it's also widely known that the pandemic has made many people reevaluate their working lives. Much has been written about the Great Resignation. I don't know if some of you are part of the Great Resignation, where you came in to work in the organization you're in today. But as workers consider leaving their jobs rather than return to commuting and long and often performative office-based hours, employers are well aware that many are scrambling for new ways to retain employees. So that's always the challenge. People working from home have seemed to manage just fine. They've remained productive, and they've remained productive without free coffee and massages. So I guess that's a good thing. Many are also less stressed, but again, the downside of home working for some has been that isolation, and trying to juggle work and family around work. So a tempting office will be one that is an extension of your home, but without the chaos. So you want to go to work and have a little bit of home, and you want to have a little bit of work at home. So it's that mix, and that's what the environment that we're trying to provide. And then really we're looking for flexibility. The type of flexibility is central to the future of workplace perks. So again, a workplace perk may be, instead of having those free snacks or Thirsty Thursdays as we have at HP, the opportunity to work at any time. Instead of working a typical 8 to 5 day, maybe you're coming in at 9 and you're breaking at 3 to go get the kids, and then you're back online at 4 and you work till 6, and then you get the kids off, and then you're back. Just having that flexibility to perform in that environment, I think, is something that more employees are looking for. So building this hybrid community and culture of work requires essential elements of collaboration, and that includes communication, productivity, and engagement. And it's really more important than ever before as the role of technology has increased, as it now facilitates culture, not just productivity. And everyone wants to be seen, everybody wants to hear and be heard, and we want to share and create, and we want to feel a sense of emotional security and belonging. And to create this sense of community and culture, we must really facilitate work and facilitate culture. So like that Work Happy video I played at the beginning, it's all about working happier. And HP is on a mission to deliver experiences that continue to keep people productive, secure, and happy. So if we take a step back and we recall what work used to be like, you remember something like this, and that it was familiar and predictable and stable. And then if the old normal was stable and predictable, then the new normal is far more improvised and adaptable, and businesses and people within them have really learned by necessity to become more adaptable. All of this has resulted in what everyone keeps referring to as our new normal. And this process is still going on as we sit here, but the reality has finally sunk in that this adaptable normal isn't really going anywhere. But there is, but here's the catch, here's the challenge. Adaptability isn't always fast, and it isn't always easy. So every time that we make a change, it requires us to reacclimate and slow down. And that's just when businesses are looking to speed up. So that becomes very challenging. First-time remote workers, they're really learning how to work remotely the hard way. In our pandemic EX surveys, those are HP surveys conducted in those 9 countries that I mentioned earlier, we found that the majority of people now working remotely, 50%, 57% of those who work from home in the US, for example, had not done so before. This was the first time. And while 30% of all US workers had worked remotely, at least somewhat in the past, even these individuals are now working remotely more often than they have before. So it's been a big transition for many people. Half of the workers are developing a preference for remote work. A large 44% of US workers are currently working from home. They're eager to return to the office, but even as many of them would like to return, 53% of US remote workers say they would like to continue working from home at least somewhat after all this is over. And I think it's fair to say that both groups agree on one thing, that nearly 7 in 10 of them believe that working from home hasn't made them less productive. Again, it's all about adaptability. I'd be real interested in knowing if you and your organizations, if you're back to work full time, is everybody back in the office 24/7, 5 days a week? Or not 24/7, but back in the office 5 days a week, or if you have flexible work schedules, or if you require people to come in once or twice a week, or if it's just kind of open. It's up to your workers in terms of, I need to go into the office to collaborate or come in for a big meeting or something. I've personally seen all of that. And it's interesting to know what types of companies are back in the office full time versus you have the ultimate flexibility of being able to decide your schedule. So stick that in the chat for me. I'd like to read that at some point later. So these are the things that most companies are struggling with today. there's this imbalance, and how are they supposed to ensure their workers and operations are adaptable while continuing to accelerate this pace of productivity? How can they continue to build up their momentum in an adaptable world? And this is precisely what we've been working on over the past few years in our couture way of doing things. We've really found that there are 4 key business tenets that impact everything from productivity to workplace culture, and we're helping our partners rediscover and invest in these pivotal areas of their businesses. And those 4 areas are purpose, autonomy, connection, and energy. So let's dig a little bit deeper into these. The first one is purpose, and purpose is essential. Everyone wants to feel like they're contributing in a meaningful way. Giving people a greater sense of purpose is an easy way to improve satisfaction, and the right technology can empower that purpose by creating a stronger connection between products and services and the people who are meant to use them. So, second is autonomy. And in an adaptable world where people are often outside the comfort and security of the traditional office, autonomy has become more important than ever. And technology is a critical part of that. It makes users more secure and managers more confident. So security is a big piece of this. And it gives both the ability to customize their experience to their individual needs. And as you'll see, from an autonomy perspective, HP is really focused on those security elements that helps keep everybody safe. The next one is connection. And nowadays, connection is both a given and a challenge. You need to be able to connect from anywhere at any time, from any place. The workplace has never been this connected, yet it felt how do I want to say it? It's never been this connected, but never felt this disconnected. The right technology doesn't just give us the ability to connect, but it streamlines and it amplifies that connection, and it lets people truly be seen and heard. And that's how you turn communication back into community. And then finally, there's energy, and energy is really the X factor. It's that missing ingredient that can make or break a memorable experience, because technology can and should do more than just function. It should get people excited. It should make them happy. It should delight them and really turn users into fans. So when you look at some of the features that we're doing, we're integrating in our products, HP Presence, those are specifically collaboration features that are designed to make that experience not only better, but kind of fun. And I think that's, having that energy is really important. Feeling good about what you're using, the tools that you have to use, and knowing that I'm getting the most out of them, I think is a real important thing. So the right technology can raise our expectations, and it can really help people become the best versions of themselves. Oh, we got a build here. Sorry, guys. All right. So purpose, let's talk a little bit more about that and what HP is doing. So there's no question that every choice companies make today is under a microscope, and that's a good thing for you, because every decision you make that proves your values as a company brings you one step closer to your customers. And we know customers are increasingly turning to brands that prioritize sustainability. And for HP, that sense of purpose starts with sustainability. Companies that embrace sustainable products, services, and solutions have a big opportunity to deliver long-term shared value and thrive in a low-carbon economy. In fact, as the statistics highlight, 60% of sustainable strategies, say that fast 3 times, sustainable strategies, can make a huge positive impact on the bottom line. And I can tell you firsthand that we're starting to see more RFPs come in from customers where they want to know what are you doing from a sustainability perspective? and it's no longer just a nice to have. It's becoming actually a checkbox, and it's something that is really used as a differentiator. But we know that that's important not only to us but to our customers as well. So for HP, sustainability isn't the only area of focus. It's not just an area of focus, it's one of our tenets. We're really focused on 3 areas within there: before use, during use, and after use. And when we talk about before use, it's from design and material elements to how our products get to our customers. It's purposeful thought into each step to increase materials efficiency, using more recycled content and replacing materials of concern. So we're constantly looking at what are we building into our systems, and how can we improve that from a sustainability perspective, but we're also using that same level of scrutiny with our partners, and how are they meeting our sustainability needs as well. So but from that design perspective, we're looking at things like ocean-bound plastics, recycled materials, sustainably sourced packaging, multi-unit eco packaging, so bulk pack, and then cosmetic packaging repair labels. During use, we understand the customers see the added value in sustainable PCs, and sustainability is moving higher up the corporate agenda. 76% of SMB and enterprise personnel interviewed believe that by 2025, sustainability will be a highly important credential for businesses, and sustainability has real business outcomes for your customers, as I mentioned before. So things like EPEAT and Energy Star and TCO certifications, having safer and sanitizable materials, that are durable and long lasting. Those are all very important. And then after use, HP offers device recovery services as part of our recover and renew stage of this circular service economy. And since the launch of Dragonfly, I think this is pretty cool here, this stuff. Dragonfly was the first notebook that was built with ocean-bound plastics, and we did that back in 2019. And we're consistently looking for ways to improve the number of products with recycled content, as well as the amount of recycled content into those. So the use of ocean-bound plastics is a common theme throughout not just HP mobile products, but Pan HP, the whole portfolio. And we have over 160 products, including Pro, Elite, Z, Chrome, Consumer, and more. Our POS all incorporate ocean-bound plastics in some way or another. And it's not only plastic that we're using. HP is really advancing on recycled materials, as you'll see in the next slide. So a great example of recycled plastics is the Elite C1030 Chromebook Enterprise. The front cover and bezel is made with 75% recycled aluminum, while the speaker and keycaps have been thoughtfully crafted. They've been created from 50% recycled plastics. So and those are recycled DVDs. Another major area that we started focusing on is recycled material, or metals rather, and the HP Folio, the Elite Folio that we introduced last year, was crafted with 90% recycled magnesium, making it super, super light. But again, we're using recycled material to do that. So aluminum and magnesium in general are very recyclable, and they can be recycled over and over again, unlike plastic. And because metal recycling is well established, the metal alternatives have a recyclability advantage over all the carbon fiber reinforced plastics that, say some of our competitors use. So this also supports HP's circular economy strategy, where monomers of plastic materials that be blended with carbon fiber are more toxic than metals. In addition, metals don't require potentially toxic additives such as flame retardants. So the end result is you get a stronger PC that's more recyclable and that has a longer life cycle. So all positives. And we do that without compromising durability and quality. That's very important to us. So all of our notebooks, for example, undergo 19 military standard 810G tests. We pass all the tests, and that includes a 3-foot drop test. So, you know, while other companies will say they test for it, very few will come out and say that they actually pass. So, you know, again, we're using, just because you use recycled materials in your products doesn't mean that you have to sacrifice on durability and quality. So let's talk about autonomy a little bit more and what HP is doing. Autonomy is about offering more control without compromising security. And security is really a big deal at HP. And if you've heard any of our pitches over the last few years, it's something that we lead with, much like we do with sustainability. But over the past year, IT and end users have really had to endure many challenges, including turning moving to this hybrid work model overnight, which would normally take years to really do it right. But this significant shift in the work style has really opened the door to more vulnerabilities. So, you know, when we're at home, when we're working from home and everyone's at home, we kind of forget about what good cyber hygiene is like. And we might be a little more tempted to open up that link that comes across in your IM or that email that you're not quite familiar with. And so what we're seeing is a rise in firmware attacks. We're seeing a rise or an increase in ransomware attacks. And the rapid evolution of malware just continues. I mean, you can't look at the news. On any given day in the news, there's some major company that's been hacked, and so it's really important that we, as a provider of technology to you, that we're providing you with the most secure and manageable PCs possible. So this massive undertaking by ITDMs ITDMs have faced a rapid onset of issues, increasing concerns around endpoint security, and this is leaving many ITDMs searching for a one-stop shop. And that's really where we come in with our HP Wolf Security, and that it provides a very differentiated portfolio. We take a multi-layered approach to security. You know, we protect below, in, and above the operating system to protect you against firmware attacks or ransomware attacks, or even things like visual hacking with our HP SureView integrated privacy display. So we could do a whole session on security. It's that big of a deal. But just know that from an autonomy perspective, security and being secure and having the confidence that my company is secure because of the partners that I'm paired up with, that's really important. So let's hit connection here quickly. Connection's about enabling and improving communication and collaboration. We're really, you know, it's about collaboration, not only when you're in the room, but when you're not, and providing you with the tools that help enable that and to make us our most productive. So HP Presence Meeting Space Solutions is one alternative that we have out there. You know, a lot of you may be familiar with our acquisition of Poly. That's obviously playing into our meeting space solutions. And then we also have technology that's enhanced by HP Presence that is being built into our cameras. So we're going with high resolution cameras, 5 megapixel, 8 megapixel. We have HP auto framing HP dynamic voice leveling, all things that are kind of designed to help with that collaboration experience and really be a delighter for the end user. And then finally, there's energy. Energy is about delivering moments of inspiration, achievement, delight, and we do that in a few different ways there, ways in this area as well. You know, one of the things that we're doing is we're trying to create products that use AI, that embrace AI. So we have a product called like Context Aware. So that uses motion sensors that can detect when your notebook is physically on the desk, or when it's on your lap, or if it's in your bag. And if it's on your lap, it can automatically recognize that and adjust the temperature of the device and actually bring it down, so it's more comfortable when you're sitting and using the device. Or say it's in your bag. You know, you get ready to go home at night and you slam the lid down on your notebook and you throw it in the bag, and when you get home the fans are whirling and you could fry an egg on it. Context Aware recognizes that, and it actually puts the system into hibernate, and you know, so the temperature comes down. So that's one of those little delighters that we've added. We've also used ambient light sensors to really help make adjustments to what you're seeing on the screen, that the color that you're seeing is the true color, which is real important for, you know, engineering and people that are creators. They want to have those true light colors. So you know, I think energy is one of those things, and having those delighters is again another thing that's important for the hybrid worker and for making hybrid work. And then finally, you know, kind of wrap things up here. You know, every voice, every thought deserves to be heard, and it doesn't matter where they are sitting in the room or what room they're sitting in, what location they're in. Everyone deserves to be heard, and part of making hybrid work is understanding that, and then providing solutions and tools and technology that can help them do that. So with that, I got a couple-minute video here that I'd like to end with. It's a little feel-good video, and then we'll take some questions.
Okay, so ideas. I have a thought that may...
I think everybody is
Sorry, can you...
the idea.
Okay, guys, let's just pick this up tomorrow.
Been a little while since I looked in your eyes and walked that bridge to the other side. Mama says it's gonna get cold in the night, but if I picture you, then I'll be alright. I am ready. I am ready for you to be here. Been a little while since I held your hand, so my arms won't stretch to your distant lands. Give me every person in the whole wide world, and I'll pick you out in a second, girl. I am ready. I am ready for you to be here. For you.
Hi, everyone. So you guys said something in our last meeting that sparked an idea.
I always get kind of tingly when I see that video, but that's, you know, hopefully I was able to give you some insights into how we view hybrid work and what some of the things that we're doing to support hybrid work, and not only support it, but to drive it forward. And it's not just one product line or one product or one product line. It goes across our entire organization. It's part of our fiber right now, in terms of this is the new world we live in. We have to adapt, and that's the only way that we're going to be able to make this all work. And you know, I thank you for your attention and your time. And if there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Looks like we'll wait a little bit longer for questions. We got none in the chat right now. But that was a great presentation. Thank you, Rick.
Oh, you're welcome. All right.
All right.
Well, we'll leave it at that then. And if you do think of something, you know, Rick Griencewic at hp.com, you can certainly send me an email. Be happy to talk. So thank you for your time, and enjoy the rest of your week.
Thank you, Rick.